You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
And good evening, everybody. My name's Carl Hutchinson, and it's Thursday night. It's our first show back after the Christmas break. So I'd just like to do a quick Happy New Year and all that. I know it's first week in, so you've probably heard that 1,000 times already, people saying Happy New Year. But as it's our first show back, Happy New Year. Thursday night, back on the radio, 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock UK time. I'm here with my fellow co-host, the lovely Sam. Oh, good evening, Sam.
Evening.
Good evening. How are you doing? You had a good break and nice Christmas, getting ready to go to get back on the air?
Yeah, very raring to go back on the air for another year.
Sure. So I'll be introducing, Sam will be taking over to do the actual interview, but I just want to tell us about this amazing person that we've got on tonight. I've met her a couple of times when we've been to Las Vegas. She's an amazing person. She did help me out when I had a little bit of an episode when I was in Vegas at a certain place. Which I'm glad that she was there to help me out on that particular time, which I have discussed on the show in previous times. But we've got Anna, who is from P.R.O.O.F., which is the paranormal research of otherworldly forms.
Yes.
Good evening, Anna.
Good evening. Sorry, it's a mouthful.
I was going to say, I was like, wow, that's that. You're not going to have that printed on a shirt, are you?
Yeah, no. We just call ourselves proofies.
Yeah, proofies. I can just about get my tongue around proofies, but that is a mouthful. Paranormal research of otherworldly forms.
And that is our friend Matt that used to be in our group. He moved to Kentucky, came up with it. What we found out there is we're actually P.R.O.F.nv because we found out, I think there's like 3 other proof groups in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're currently, you live in Vegas now. So I'll be passing you over to Sam. So I'll be chipping in now and again and catching up with you in a bit. But I'll pass you over to the lovely Sam, and thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, first off, I know it's been a while since we've actually spoke.
Yes.
Well, it's been like a few months or something, hasn't it? But it's actually good to speak to you again, although it's on Skype and not in person. But
Yeah, hopefully you'll be back soon. It's nice when you guys come out to visit. And hopefully I could break away to go on an investigation with y'all.
That'd be great. So I'm going to obviously ask the first question, which we ask everybody who we haven't had on before. So what got you interested in the paranormal?
Basically, I grew up in a house that was haunted. I'm actually an empath. I come from a family of people that basically we've been seeing ghosts for many generations, especially through my grandmother's side of the family. So it was a normal thing for us. It wasn't when I was growing up to talk about it outside the home, but it was something that was my grandma, very Irish and very, you leave out a little bit of water and food for the leprechauns, and you talk about, but she would talk about, seriously, she would talk about, seeing her mother that passed and family members and her family members. And for me, walking into certain buildings when I was little, I could feel the energy, but not knowing what it was or come over with emotions. It was basically just a normal thing, but all we had back then, it's not a plethora of ghost shows like we have now. We only had In Search Of to refer to when I was little. So that's how I learned how a lot of different ghosts and any hands I can get books on to learn about it.
Yeah, that's great, and of course, because it runs in the family as well. So, did you, when you became of right, I want to ask the questions to my family, were these like, oh yeah, we see spirits and feel the same as you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they. It's my sister kind of has a sensitive. My kids are very much so. Well, right now my son's rebelling. He's 15, and if that's the only thing he could rebel against me about, I'll be happy. I'm good with that. But,
Yeah.
Basically, both my children have been on paranormal investigations with me. Vienna, she's my oldest. She's 28. She's not as sensitive, and she's a skeptic, believe it or not. But my middle daughter, she's 27, and she pretty much gets the feelings and senses things. My son does too, but I think, like I said, he's rebelling against it. But when he was little, he was more open to it and would sense things as well. My mom she had seen when I was a baby, someone standing on the edge of the bed, just standing watching over us in a glowing light. Also, we've, just in our homes, we've heard people walking around, voices. We had shadow people, so common occurrences in our home.
Kind of the usual, sometimes paranormal family stuff then. Nothing
yes. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So I don't know if you want to say this, so do your children know what you are and that you do these investigations?
Oh yeah, they, my middle daughter's still active on the team. My oldest right now, not, but they will participate as much as they can. They've had their experience. They've traveled throughout the Southwest with me all the way to Tombstone to, we've been all the way up to Porterville in California. So pretty much it's something that, they're very serious about it and collecting data and, having their own experiences. And, it's something that we're hoping that, when my grandbabies get bigger, they're not going to be as, we're more passing it along, but let them form their own opinion, because I'm still on the skeptical side of it. I don't want them to be one of those people, oh my gosh, that's a good ghost. That's not how we work. So
yeah, and that's the thing as well, isn't it? You still want them to think for themselves, and you don't want to give them, I don't know if it's opinionated or whatever the word is. So that's good that you're giving them their own chance to think of it in their brainwave. Brainwaves, that's a big word for me.
Yeah, they like to, we've, done experiments and debunked and things, when we were in San Diego, we actually, oh my God, this was years ago, we did the Star of India ship. And I know ghost hunters, ghost adventures, like back then have been on that ship. And, a lot of the stuff we were going through, and we debunked a lot of stuff. I don't like to have that much, too much information, because I want to go in biased. And, just a little history, but I don't like to know too much about hauntings, because I feel like sometimes when you get that information, you're already setting that intention in your head, and you have these expectations. And it's ridiculous. I was crawling on the floor, looking at reflections, doing all these things. And, my daughter will say something, but we try not to say too much out loud to each other. We'll just go into that room. See if you feel anything, you have that. And then that's how we, bounce off of each other.
That is a good way to do it though. Because, you could find out the history about the hauntings and that, and then try and contact a certain spirit. And then the certain spirits could be like, why aren't you talking to me? Just talking to that spirit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because there's been several places that we've gone in and, they say, oh, it's this person. And you go in and you're like, no, Amagosa in Death Valley, my team, that's only like about 45 minutes away from where we live. in Vegas. So it's outside P.R.O.O.F. Well, I guess a little more than that, maybe an hour and a half. And you always forget you got to go through P.R.O.O.F. and then you got to go over. So anyways, our base used to be there. We used to do a lot of events there. And, I remember one of Ghost Avengers saying the boss man's there. And we go in. So I actually did I was part of another team before. Was this team? It was GARP, and we went for an event. And I actually did an event that Billy Tolley was doing at the time, and that's before he, was a prominent person on the show. So I went, and they're all okay. He's in the boss man's in the back, and this is what you're going to feel. And this was my first paranormal gathering event. And yes, I had an experience where, I got punched in the stomach. I felt sick. But then part of it, when I stepped back, and the more you're going into investigations, the next several times I was there, I had different experiences. I didn't get that. I was up front and I walked in and go, you know what? I'm just here to learn from you. I'm here to study. I'm not here to get rid of you or whatever. And we approached it in that way, my team and I. And you get different data, different experiences. And in fact, we got my daughter, Troy. My daughter's not very tall. She's only 4'11", so she's very tiny. So she looks like a child. And we were standing in a circle, and this is like the wee hours of the morning, I would say about 3:30, 4 o'clock, the sun was coming up. And you see, we're standing in a circle doing our closing, like a prayer or thank you that we say out. And standing among us was a little girl, and she was looking at my daughter, and my daughter was like looking at her. But by the time we kind of looked up to her, she was gone. But she heard the little girl. Now that little girl's not come up before in any of the shows or any of the things. But if we went in expecting to see just this man, I don't think we would have experienced the little girl.
I suppose it comes down to preconceptions, doesn't it? If you're told that the activity is an angry man, you are going to, anything that happens, your mind is going to say it's an angry man. Right. Yeah. So I like the way that works because that's exactly what I try and do. Is because if you go in somewhere and over in the UK, we have the famous cases of everywhere's got a grey lady. Yes. Everywhere's got a grey lady. So as soon as you see something out the corner of your eye or you feel something, your brain is automatically 4 steps ahead saying you just had an experience with the grey lady. Right. So that's I like the way you just don't go in and you're opening yourself up to the environment and the location and not having any preconceptions. Well, it's hard in the Southwest to do investigations because, one, either you're there the week of, just before or after a TV show comes in, so the hot spots. And there was a year that it seemed like we were trailing dead files because they were on this side. And so the week before the week after they were there, they just taped the show. So it wasn't aired anything. And we were up in Virginia City, which I love there. It's just a history alone. And we were at the Mackey Mansion. Now the reason why we decided to go there, we've heard, Johnny Depp had experiences there of a little girl that he's seen, plus the history of the home and everything's just amazing. And we went up there, and again, my daughter Troy was with me. My teammate Eric, Tina, and Edward were all there, and it was very cold, very cold. It seems like in the wintertime, that's when a lot of stuff becomes isolated and a little bit more activities more. I don't know if that's because there's water around in the ice or if it's a better conductor or what, but we ended up having a lot of experiences there, and everyone's expecting to see the lady of the house, but it turned out to be sorry, my dog's acting up. Sorry.
It's all right. It's fine.
So basically what happened is that my daughter kept feeling a tugging on her shirt. So we ended up going into because they say a little girl haunts theirs, but there's a little girl's room set up. Well, the experience we had with the little girl my daughter was talking to her. We got down on our knees to be down at a child's thing. And as we were talking, because my daughter felt someone grabbing her hand, I felt somebody hug me. And, you know, we were talking to her as if I would be talking to my granddaughters. And, but then when we watched the show to see if they got the same thing, they were saying this girl's deranged, this girl has it. So I really believe is, again, the perception. I'm not saying that their experience was not valid. That could have been the experience that they have. But, you know, we all get different perceptions. And, you know, maybe she didn't like who came in. I don't know. But she was super nice to us. But then the woman of the house, the owner's wife, she made the room, because I did not know that she hated that house and being there. And as we were talking about, I love your home. Thank you for letting us be here. We're very gracious. A blackness just surrounded us and all our equipment started going dark. And I didn't want to say anything, but I kind of nudged to Eric. I go, do you? He goes, yes. He goes, I feel someone standing behind us and they don't feel very happy. And he doesn't feel anything. He's not psychic. We call him, you know, our ghost kryptonite sometimes because, you know, he's just not in tune to that. But when if Eric feels it, then we're like, oh my God, something is valid. Something is happening. So very interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people miss on paranormal investigations is, whereas you said that if you sense a child or you know there's a child spirit in this location, that you get down on their level and talk to them on that level. And I don't think I won't say a lot, I'll say I don't think some paranormal investigators do that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I think because they, you know, some, you know, bring in the bear. And then, you know, we've done that too at the Glen Tavern. You know, I got a chance to investigate with Rob. I'm going to butcher his last name, starts with a W, but he's written many books. He's written books on the Queen Mary. He's written books on also the Glen Tavern. And he's been a paranormal investigator for over 40 years. And a lot of the groups come out, you know, and ask him to investigate. And he was so gracious to meet us at the Glen Tavern Inn. And what was crazy is everyone goes, you go up to the third floor. That's where all the activity is. But he actually rented another room that was on the second floor and brought in the teddy bear and he brought other toys. And, but again, you know, talking to the child as a child, not like show yourself, do this, do that. But, you know, it was more of like, cause he has, you know, little kids around him too. So if you approach it that way, I think instead of yelling or demanding or intimidating them, you know, that's just my point of view. So, and it worked. We had more activity in that room than we did upstairs on the third floor where supposed certain things happened. So, yeah.
And I think it's good that you do go into different rooms, though, say, like if it's just a said room in a location, you know, but most of the people just go into the apparently most active room. But I think it's good when you go into a different room because, like you said, you had more activity in that room than you did with the most apparent haunted room.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And bathroom. I don't know why.
Well, that's one thing that I've noticed, and is sometimes you when you go to locations and you're human, you have to must occasionally when you're on an investigation and use the facilities. And I've done it in numerous locations. Sometimes you're in there and you do get that feeling that there's somebody behind you or you're being watched, and it's just, and you don't know whether it's your mind playing tricks, but sort of the most non-obsuming areas like lobbies or which my views is because there's a lot of foot traffic through the areas. People go there literally constantly. So, and that's why I think there's particularly facilities like toilets and shower blocks and places like that. I think you do find, in my personal opinion, is there's sometimes we miss out on those areas because we don't investigate them.
Right. But you think about it, you're at your most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And believe me, I was in Amagosa, and our room is, if you have to really go to the restroom, you don't use the room where I'll stay and go to the lobby. So, and in the hotel, there's the main bathroom, so it's dark. There's no electricity on, and there might be maybe one other guest in the team there because it's just a tiny place. And so I had to go all the way down the hall, but my friend just came back, so you have to bring a flashlight. So I'm going down there, going to the restroom, and I hear somebody like getting towels and doing stuff. And I had the flashlight in my mouth trying to do it. And then I was like, finally, I'm like, okay, if you're here to scare me, just let me finish what I need to do, and then we can get back to it. And then my friend comes in and then goes, who are you talking to? And I asked her, was that you in the next stop? No, but that's a common occurrence. And I'm all, why is it ghosts like the bathrooms? They show up in mirrors. They show up. But then we think because I think it's the most energy. You're vulnerable. There's water running constantly. If you go by that theory, I just think there's, it's a concentrated, and they might feel safer in there because, you're in their spot. Yeah. When you're in the other, where are you going to go? Let me go hide as a kid. Let me hide out in the bathroom, so who knows? I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we're dead.
Yeah, we'll be all hanging around in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned some of these locations that you've been to, and obviously you're from Vegas. What are the spots in Vegas that you have had the opportunity to investigate? Some of the big ones, some of the ones that you think, wow, some of the ones that people might not have heard of.
Oh, the ones in Vegas. Well, we have a location that I'm going to say, but they don't allow investigations. But when you go there and walk around, you can't. The Mormon Fort is very active at night. I mean, it's closed up at night, and it's if you go there, basically how that is that people will see. Sometimes they think there's people inside the gate moving around. Now that was the local watering hole. And also, there's a lot of activities in that area. So that's very active. I mean, that place, I've been inside the, what was it? Oh, why can't I think of it? The Flamingo. And, talking to some of the people that work there. And you feel the energy when you walk in. You feel the history, that pretty much. The Tropicana. Yeah. When they had the mob attraction, now not confused with the mob museum, there used to be the mob attraction that was there. And that one, basically, we got to investigate a couple of times before they closed down. And that was in the back part of the hotel. And that also used to be, there was a hallway for the employees, but there were stairs going up to where the high rollers used to be. And this is during the mob time. And we couldn't go up there because they were doing construction, redoing all these things. But we had all our equipment out. And across our spirit box, we got, they said all of our names on the team. Now, my name's not that unusual, but my daughter's Troy's came up. And also, because we always go, we introduce ourselves to whatever's there, and then later on, do you know who's here? Do you remember blah, blah, blah? Well, Audra, one of our teammates, her name came through. Audra is not a usual name, but I had a shadow figure. Well, also we believe because the mob attraction actually had furniture from the mob. They had Bugsy Siegel's furniture, which you could touch and different stuff. And they also had a lot of the clothing. So more of the artifacts of the mob. And I feel Bugsy came through because I was on a 1-on-1 session and also seeing someone sitting in the back of a car that had a hat and a fedora. And then we had a shadow figure. But I really wish that place didn't close down because the energy amongst those items, because they made every section, like you're going as an immigrant from, off the ship through and what the mob experience was. But Tropicana, the old spots. If you are open to it, I know it's not in Vegas, but Goldfield is.
Well, myself and Sam, we went out there when we saw you last. We did a bit of went to the Clown Motel, went to the Goldfield High School.
Yes, I've had a lot of experiences there.
Yeah, just standing outside looking at that place, and you can just feel a weird. I don't know. It's hard to describe me personally. I just felt like I was being drawn to certain areas when I was walking around it, and obviously the Goldfield and the famous Goldfield
Hotel. Yes.
Yeah, that place just looks incredible.
Well, the high school we've done. Like several times in when someone else ran it back in the day. And that one, we've got one of our best evidence. We were all upstairs and gosh, we were on the third floor where the principal's office was. And I was even taking pictures. I got weird pictures, but you can hear on the audio us reacting to, thought we heard somebody come in and coming up the stairs. Now, what we caught wasn't what we're reacting to. You go, you hear that? You hear somebody coming up the stairs? Because we thought, they only have 300 residents there. We didn't know if somebody wandered in or what, checking in. So we heard someone coming up the stairs. When I went back and reviewed, we have a lady on there in a firm voice going, come in. And that's not with the voice box. That's not with the Ovilus. It's a voice. Mm-hmm. And the only other female that was there was Audra, and then of course myself. All the rest were the guys. So for us to get that experience was chilling because it sounded like the principal. And I had candy in my pocket, and I've had my shirt tugged and pulled, and that place we've had experience. Of course, the Goldfield Hotel, we did it, but they were starting to change things. We had more stuff happen to us outside the hotel than inside. Mm-hmm. My camera would stop working when we tried to take pictures of the inside. In between the buildings, because we were doing an investigation at the Elk Club, and we did one there. And we're outside taking a break, and it was about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And so we go, well, let's just walk down to Goldfield. We see shadow people going in between the buildings, people walking.
Yeah, well, I don't, because that was my first time there. And I kind of was expecting something. I don't know because obviously you watch the shows and you see the Goldfield and you see it's like a big stone building, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then when you drive into Goldfield, you can see, the hotel. You can see the hotel for miles coming in because it's the biggest building you can see. But everything else is like proper old school, how it originally was. Yeah. Little shacks. Like, because our friends who live out in Vegas, they were saying that it's only in the last 2 or 3 years that the actual side roads got tarmacked. Yeah. And I was completely amazed because I was expecting something a little bit more, like a bit more built up, but it was you blink and you miss driving through Goldfield because it's that small. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And Gold Point's even smaller. But we just drove through there. My friend Audra and I, because they do a thing every Memorial Day, for Memorial Day every year. And we went and we drove, and I'm literally like just a 2-lane highway, and then you get off, and it's like in your car, and then we drove around in little shacks, and she's like, "Nope, we're not getting out. It's like hills have eyes. Nope." And then we just kept. We turned around and we went back, and we did not want to get stuck. Yeah. And it's just crazy. And then it's not that far from Tonopah. No, exactly. We went to Tonopah. Yeah. I must admit, I like Tonopah. I like Goldfield and Tonopah. Well, Tonopah, when I first started ghost hunting, I went with the group I was originally with, and it was just like a last minute thing. And so there was only 3 of us, but we were meeting up with another team at the time. And we were staying at the Clown Motel. But right next to it is the cemetery. And so the team I was with, Garp was very gung-ho. They're very Ghost Adventure style. And, doing their thing in the cemetery. And I'm not like that, but they were provoking, doing their thing. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden on the edge, you could see shadows running back and forth. And I started getting this feeling of dread. And I kept telling them, I go, you guys need to not, but they were like saying things. I go, this is not a good thing. And you could feel the tension building.
Then I started smelling smoke. And then after I started smelling smoke, it smelled like someone had a bonfire going right next to us, and it was making me sick. Every place I would move in the cemetery, it was following me. And finally, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I don't like it. And I walked back to the room. So, I get washed up, try to sleep, couldn't. As soon as the sun came up, I got up and walked across the parking lot. I didn't read the sign that was there. I did not know that several miners perished in a fire. I went up to every grave trying to smell, try to look around, even look to see where there's people that live near there. If there was bonfire, if there was anything, nothing. And I just apologize. I am sorry that, the people I was with were rude. So every time I go to Tonopah, I stop and I visit Big Bill. I pay my respects. And, I've always had great experiences now. It's like they know. Mm-hmm. And, I just felt guilt. And then from that point on, I was just, I'm not going to be that invested. I mean, that's me. I'm not going to be that. Because I feel like you're breaking into someone's living room and, you walk in and go, show me your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's sadly part of, obviously, the TV side of it is obviously the in your face. But you wouldn't do that with a human. You wouldn't do that with somebody who was living, sorry. Not human. Sounds like I was talking about aliens. No, you wouldn't do that with a living person. You wouldn't go up to them and say, literally get in their face and shout at them. So why do you feel you need to do it when you're doing it to spirit?
Yeah,
and it comes down to respect, like in my eyes.
We've gotten more evidence, believe it or not, while we're talking about gossip sometimes. When you take a break. Yeah. And it's almost like you're goofing off or you're joking or you're doing stuff. And then I've gotten one where we were just giddy by that time because we were so tired and we're up in Porterville and we were laughing because we're like to, what is it? Pearl, she haunts the Porterville. So we go, Pearl, what do you want us, do you like us being here? We're in her room. And then you hear in the audio, go to bed. So we were like, we were just like, okay, I guess. And she, she was an old-fashioned lady. She died, she was the last inhabitants of that house. And we were just laughing because she'd probably go, oh my God, it's them again. But when we went again, we can, we've had a great experience in that house too. And that's been on several different shows. But and then if you ever get to go there, I mean, we've had experience with animals, their dog, and Edward, he's followed us and appeared. And one of our teammates, Edward, he's very technical, didn't believe in ghosts, and until he had his experience there, and it changed him. So when you're ready, they appear. If you're not ready, I think they don't appear to you sometimes because it's going to shake your world.
Mm-hmm. I think you're absolutely right when you have that moment where you're either in between or you're having a little bit of break. Sometimes I think spirit just goes, "Oi, I want to talk to you," or "Oi, you ignoring us? You were talking to us a minute ago. Now you're ignoring us." So they make themselves aware.
Yeah.
Amazing. Sam, have we got any questions in the chat room? Or have you got any questions you want to go?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, no worries. So Proof is obviously the team that you're part of. Is it just solely around the Las Vegas area, or do you go further afield?
We've what is it? Like I said, we've been all the way to Arizona. Mm-hmm. We've gone to Arizona, Utah, and California. If we could go farther, we did have plans to go to the Sally House this past, but then health reasons, it's hard because it's you don't get paid. We don't get paid to do this. This is like and then people get upset when you say, well, then it's a hobby. Well, it is in a way an expensive hobby. Yep. And you pay for your own equipment. You pay for your own time and travel. And if you're lucky enough, you get the time off. For the last 2 years, I wasn't really able to take time off due to my last job to do what I love. And, I missed out on all the years I've been investigating. I missed out when they did a low-key calico investigation. And that's one of the places I wanted to go into, so it's hard, but basically, we're into wherever we could go. It's not just, I don't like to call myself a ghost hunter. I like to be an investigator because we like meeting the people. We like the history.
Mm-hmm.
Good Springs, where the Pioneer Saloon, we've done that so many times. But just walking around the town, going to the cemeteries, we've had experience. We had rocks thrown at us. I've heard people call my name, and you're just walking around getting history. And it's almost like visiting old friends.
Yeah.
But Tombstone, I want to go back. That was amazing. Just for the history alone.
Yeah, that's one of the places I has suddenly come back up onto my bucket list of places that I want to do. I'm gradually ticking them off as I've been over the last God knows how many years I've been doing it. So I managed to get the Goldfield ticked off. So
good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, amazing location. And just one thing I noticed about, and I don't know whether it was just the time of year that we went to, but I think we were there for we must have been in Goldfield for at least 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see anybody wandering around. You see cars driving through, but didn't see any physical people wandering around.
Yeah, you know what? You really don't, because there used to be a really active bar that was on the corner there. Now, mind you, for New Year's Eve, we didn't do it the last two, but we usually do it ghost hunting, and we do it out in the middle of the desert and freeze. I don't know why. Whose idea? We freeze our butt off. It drops down to 22. It's horrible. We did the high school, and somebody set off at midnight. Now, mind you, this is people at the bar that's kind of a couple streets down from the high school on the corner, drinking in tank tops. It's 22 degrees. My fingers are freezing and fusing together. And they set off dynamite. We thought they were celebrating. And we're like, where did all these people come from? It's like the 5, But believe it or not, they have little art places there. They have little businesses, and
because we saw the little art place where he was selling, but that was shut when we went there. And the radio station, is it the radio station? The radio station. No, literally, the only time we actually saw physical people was the workman, and we went in and spoke to some people actually working in the Goldfield. And funny enough, we were because our friends know them. They pointed Red's truck outside because he was actually there, but he'd gone somewhere else at the time in another car, so we didn't actually get to meet Red. But that was the only time. But I look back at it, I'm just thinking, even when we went round the high school, obviously you got the prison just across the road.
Yeah.
Didn't see anybody.
Did you guys not go into the Santa Fe Saloon?
No.
Oh, okay. That's a couple streets up, and you go down. It's one of the oldest saloons, and there's always the same bartender in there. But anyways, it's pretty much. And they have a few ghost stories, but they're kind of grumpy when you go in there. But because we were trying to stay at the motel there, but we always end up staying in Tonopah. So we drive the 45 minutes or 30 minutes to get back where we need to be. But it's like a hit or miss. But they do have Goldfield Days in August, and that's when we were laughing, because that's when like all these paranormal people come, and not just that, but they have like the inhabitants that are there, and they'll dress up in costumes, some of them. But we were laughing, we're like, how do we not know that we're not talking to ghosts at this moment? Because some of them look like they literally just walked out of the desert, looking like, from the old days.
Yeah.
But the cemetery is quite interesting. I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
We saw the cemetery, yeah.
Yeah, because they have the regular, the main one, and then the one all the way in the back that has all the stone rocks that's written in it. That's the library piece. But that was the original one.
Oh, okay, because we saw the original archway cross from the is where the original archway that used to be driving into the town. Is that right? Yeah. Amazing place. Amazing. Anybody that is into the paranormal that hasn't been, and you're going out there or whatever, just go to Goldfield, because I know Sam enjoyed it as well. So Sam, I think you've got a question for Anna.
Well, Well, we've got a few questions now, Anna. The chat room's livened up a little bit.
Have they all woken up, have they?
So a few are off Paul. So the first one off Paul is there anywhere in the world you would love to investigate?
Edinburgh. I would love to go to Edinburgh. Ever since I was a child, that was like my dream to go there. I know when everyone else wants to go there, that's the one place I want to investigate. I just feel energy. I would just love to go. Ireland. I have my family migrated from there, so just to go, the history. But yeah, I don't know why I always feel like this tug to go there to Edinburgh.
It's because basically you're saying exactly the same. You guys in the States want to come over here, and we all go out because obviously, But I think it's because locations that we get to investigate, they're probably older. They're older and they're older than your country, etc., etc.
Yes.
Blah blah blah. But there's a different mentality to ghost hunting in the UK than there is in America.
Yeah.
So I think it's always nice to get that balance when you talk to people and see their ideas. And obviously Edinburgh, everybody obviously very historical, but all we can think of, we want to go to the Goldfield, we want to be going to Penn State, we want to be going to and all these places because we don't have these type of locations in the UK.
Yeah.
And we see them on the shows, and luckily enough, I've been in a situation where I've been able to go around some of these places. But it always fascinates me when it's like a flip with the same coin but with different sides to it. Because you guys, it's like that. It's just incredible. Go ahead, Sam.
Another one from Paul. Is there anywhere you wouldn't want to investigate?
No.
That's easy. No.
I don't. You know what? It's like when people. I mean, if I feel the energy, I'm one of those that I don't run to demonic. You know how people like, oh, that's demonic, or this is that. I've only encountered maybe a few not nice feelings or experiences. I've had them to tell me to F off when I was in Leslie's family restaurant in Utah. But I went into mom mode because the ghost kept touching my daughter's butt. And it was because he was a speakeasy. And I just turned around and just pointed the finger and I was like, da-da-da-da-da. And then the energy just was like leveled. There was a place in P.R.O.O.F. that it was kind of odd because the first house we went into was the energy. I don't know why kid spirits, animal spirits seem to be attracted to me. So they usually are okay. But the last house we went into was a Native American spirit. And also being of Native American background, I felt, I came with respect and was talking, but I could tell because most of the people in our group are Caucasian, and that energy did not like them being there because the owner of that land was not very nice to the Native Americans. So we had to take a step back. That's the first time I felt sick or pushed back. And, but other than that, no, I'm more like, I want to see if it's evil. I'm like, and if it is, then I'll be healthy respect and back myself off. I've only gotten like really sick off an item because I didn't protect myself against something before. But I'm like the type where I've had something growl at me and I'm like, really now we're going to go there. And I walk towards it because I'm like, let me see then, are you just an asshole to me? Because some people, I think some ghosts are like, if you're a real jerk in real life, you're going to be a jerk in afterlife and you're going to do whatever tools you have to scare the crap out of somebody, basically, out of your area.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. This is a bit of a jokey one.
Okay.
I wasn't going to ask you, but I've got to because he'd be like, "Why have you not asked him that?" But this is typical Paul. He says, "Would you investigate claims of a talking mongoose?"
Yeah, I would because I'd be kind of curious. If a dog can talk, why can't a mongoose? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's a possessed mongoose. I don't know.
Back to the seriousness now.
Uh-huh.
This one's from Richard. He asks, do you use any spiritual techniques while investigating?
I do ask. Well, you know what? It depends on the location. I know that sounds kind of weird because I don't want to block myself off. Being empathic, I kind of, and that's something I recently, and I don't want to be cliche because I feel like all these ghosts are, oh, I'm empathic now. But it's something that I think I fought against for a very long time because I want to still approach it from a skeptical point of view. But I do I have the pieces that I wear. I always wear my Saint, I don't have it on right now, of course, my Saint Michael and Saint Benedict. But I wore that before I became an investigator anyways. It's kind of like my go-to. And I have a necklace that my friend gave me that's a giant medallion because I used to have my bracelets they kept disappearing for a while in one of the places that I used to work at. And they used to come off a lot. And I know the place that shall not be named, but it kept falling off.
Everyone's like, what?
and for a while there, because I wasn't having, because there's positive and negative energy.
Yeah.
And the negative, I think, was kind of hazing me a bit, and I kept losing things. So I got a giant. But we do, before we leave, we do say a prayer. Even though some of us are not, there's some that are not religious, some of us are pagans. We're all mixed in that group. And we always say thank you to the spirits for allowing us to be there. And, and that's what we do. And I do take big precautions, not so much because of paranormal investigating, because I do pick up other people's energy and stuff, but I put the sweet grass above my door. I do the dragon's blood. I do that because of energies that tend to like to follow me home and hang out for a bit. But when they find out how crazy my family is, they just leave. So, yeah. That's its own deterrent.
So you mentioned about, obviously, protection and obviously things potentially coming home, and then they, obviously what you've just said then. Is there any cases while you've been investigating where you think something has followed you home?
Yes, but it wasn't, it wasn't like a investigation. It was outside, it was at State Line. Was it Needles? I always get them confused. There's Needles, there's you blink, it's worse than Gold Flip. You blink your eye and you will not, literally, there's like 4 buildings. And I think it's like this new place. It's in California, actually. And is it Needles or, well, I have to find out. But anyways, it's a new town that they're making a pot place. It's like they're going to grow pot and everything. Anyways, we just drove out to hey, let's check this place out. It has it's campground. It's another gateway to Death Valley. So we were like, hey, let's go. So we just walked around the town, kind of talked, looked at a few houses that were empty, but a few people lived there. It's like a place that you would never find yourself. It's like you just drive off. Well, on our way back, we dropped off my friend at her house, Audra, and we were just coming around the corner to come to my house, and my car filled up with the smell of cologne, like all over. Excuse me, it was just water. My throat got done. Of cologne, excuse me. Of cologne filling the car, but it was like a weird, but nobody, I didn't wear any perfume. Edward wasn't wearing anything, but the whole car. So we rolled down the windows and it was worse. Excuse me. So when we get home, basically, I told my friend about the experience. She had the same experience. Excuse me. I don't know why my throat went dry all of a sudden. That's weird. Sorry.
You're okay.
I've been fighting a cold. Anyways, so we had that. I've had cigarette smoke in my house up and down the hallway. I've had people knock on my door. My dog growling at something. Basically stuff like that. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Very strange. You've been fine all the way through, and then all of a sudden we start talking about things coming in, and all of a sudden you then start having.
Yeah, I know. It's like, thanks. But I usually like get a cold spot on my leg. I've had things disappear on me and come back. Shadow figures. I have a doll that starts playing music. I got from Goldfield. I didn't even know that it played music. And then one day it just started playing music out of the blue. So who knows?
Yeah, so obviously, when it comes to things like that, and, you know, obviously you said you're an empath. Is there times when you can go into a room or go into when there's nobody else apart from yourself? You can go in and say there's like a table or a chair or certain objects. Do you then get a feeling from those sort of things, or?
That's something that sometimes, yes, because I work at the oddity shop in Las Vegas, and sometimes people will bring in certain pieces, or we have pieces that I pick up, and I could feel, and I didn't know I had that it comes and goes ability, but in fact, because we just moved off of Main Street to our new location, and I was packing one of the rooms. And I didn't realize that one of the things I was packing, as soon as I picked it up, the energy off of it just whammied me. And I just felt kind of lightheaded and dizzy, finished doing what I was doing, put it away, had to go out for fresh air, came back, and basically it just felt like someone just whopped, to me. And then I asked Vanessa, the owner, and she goes, oh, yeah, that was pieces used in Santeria. And I was like, oh, okay, usually if I know something ahead of time, but sometimes it's kind of weird. You could just pick up something and feel like a little buzz or electricity or, but usually I sense like people's energy, but I usually try to give them a chance, even if they're not that great energy, because, I don't know if they're having a bad day. I don't know if there's like something they might've picked up that day, but I hate it. But usually comes back and bites me in the butt when I've been too nice.
Sammy, any more questions in chat room, or?
Nope, it's gone quiet again.
No worries. They've all gone back to sleep again. So what have you got coming up soon? Obviously, you work at the Oddity Museum, which I know is a place that we'll be visiting when we next come out there. What have you got? Anything going on with the team? Anything like that?
Well, we were trying to set up a couple of local stuff. We want to go back. Oh my gosh, there's a place in Utah that we were told about, and it's a little tiny town. I had it written down because it's not something that normally a lot of people know about, but it's like another little small place. And it's just trying to get everything organized, and everyone's been sick. The flu's been going around here.
Yeah, it's been going around the UK as well.
Really? Yeah, everyone. So, and it's just, that, and we usually like to go back to certain locations to just check to see where they've, where they're at, how that is and stuff like, different things like that. So yeah, it's just now that it's going to start getting warmer, we can set up stuff because it's a little hard. And a lot of places are closed off, believe it or not. They don't allow paranormal investigations like they used to. A lot of places are, I don't know if because the craze is over or they've gotten burned from other things, but sorry.
That's all right. So Sam, what obviously we would while Anna sorts herself out with the throat. Sam, just going back to when we went to Goldfield. What was your views on Goldfield?
Thanks.
I thought he was great, but obviously, like you, I was expecting a lot more in the streets because of obviously filming, but we know television shows film differently and that. But I was
they didn't, like we said, they didn't really show the town itself. All you ever saw was the front of the building and the side street, and that was about it. You never actually saw what the other buildings were made up of and stuff like that. And, so you okay, Anna?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just like a dry. it's dry. So
that's fine.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I've been good all day, and then here, boom.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's the ghosties, they're getting me.
Well, the hour is quickly coming to an end anyway. So if there's people out there listening that want to get in touch with you or want to know more about you, social media presence, are you on social media, and where can they find you?
We are on Facebook. Mm-hmm. We're under Proof. If you have to look us P.R.O.O.F.nv, so you'll find us. You'll see we have like a, it's all spelled out, has Bigfoot, UFOs, everything in our banner. You can find us there. We're also on Twitter. Basically, I try to post up a lot of different articles, share a lot of things from different groups, and promote. Also, our Las Vegas oddities. We're going to be doing a few things with the community, more paranormal, different things. We're going to try to have like more talks, and also we joined up with the Sin City Witches, which they're going to be coming in and doing classes. So anytime I like to talk about the paranormal, or if people have questions, we have expanded some of the stuff there to help people ward off negative energies, or, because I think people are becoming more enlightened since it's easier to talk about it now.
Yeah. I think that is it. It's becoming more. I don't like using the word, but it's becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, well, I hate to say that too, because with the mainstream you have issues, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's the kind of feeling I have. I think it's always when I first started. You mentioned what you did what you did at weekends, stuff like that, and you mentioned you're a paranormal investigator, or people just thought you just literally got walked in with two heads or something like that, just like they backed off. But I think now, more people, everybody's got some sort of story. It's a friend of a friend experienced this, or this is a crazy thing. But then they always say, "Oh no, I don't," and then all of a sudden they're telling you stories. So I think that's quite good. And knowing yourself personally, when we've met up, you can talk to anybody. And you're so welcoming and everything like that. So anybody in Vegas that's listening or going to Vegas, go down to the Oddities Museum and go and say hello to Anna and the team down there.
Yes, we appreciate it, because it's it's hard, because I've had people walk up to me and you could tell that they're hesitant to talk about it. But you look at them and maybe, I don't know, you make that connection, and it's to help each other. My team doesn't do residentials anymore, because we noticed that a lot of the shows, when they come up, like the horror movies, the shows, or they show you this picture, it's just a water stain, and they want it to be something more. So it's only if anyone dives straight that will help. But other than that, we're just there to, educate, help. And by all means, I don't say I'm an expert, because I don't think any of us have the answer, truly.
No, there's no experts in this field.
No.
There's people with a different level of understanding.
Yes.
I wouldn't say there's experts in the field. No. Anna, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always. We'll be seeing you soon. Come out and say hello to you again. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. It's been very, very interesting. I just want to thank everybody. My co-host Sam. Thanks, Sam.
No worries.
And we will be back next Thursday, 9:00 UK time. Who we got on next week, Sam?
It's got to be confirmed yet.
Okay, no worries. We'll confirm that. We always like to keep people guessing. So once again, thanks everybody in the chat room. Thanks to everybody that was doing that, asking your questions, supporting us everywhere. Mm-hmm. As we've always said, it's your show. This is your show. So if there's anything you want us to discuss, if there's anything you want us to people to get on, talk about certain subjects, let us know. You've got with all our social media links are on the website. Get in touch with us, drop myself a message, Sam a message, and we'll look at doing a show for you. Because at the end of the day, we do this for you guys because it's what we want to do. It's our passion, and we like to interact with our passion about the paranormal. So once again, Anna, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been our pleasure. And what I will do now is I will sign off and we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And it's good to be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.